Welcome into Brett McMurphy's college football bowl projections. It's already week 10, Brett. Can't believe we made it this far. I keep having to double check my notes that we are indeed this far into the season. I'm Tim Kalinowski, but no one cares about that. They want to know, Brett, who do you have in the college football playoff, as this week we're actually going to get our first viewing of who the committee has in the college football playoff?
Yeah, I mean, I've got the same as last week: Florida State, Michigan, Georgia, and Texas. We talked about last week. I had Texas projected in my college football playoff, and that was with Quinn Ewers going into the news that he would be out for a few weeks. Certainly a one-game sample size against BYU. They were able to handle the Cougars. I think ultimately Texas will win out, and at 12-1. As the Big 12 champs, I do think they would get in. I think Florida State, Michigan, and Georgia will run the table. All of them would be 13-0. Of course, as soon as I predict that, we're going to have chaos and everybody will lose next week. But at least for now, it looks like those three will get through the first week of December undefeated. They automatically would be in there. I think Georgia would be the 1 seed, Florida State the 2, and Michigan the 3. And then 4 would come in at Texas. Obviously, if Texas loses, they're out. They have to win out to get in. And kind of what we addressed last week, why do I have Texas in there instead of the Pac-12? Oregon looked tremendous last week. They put a beat down on Utah. Nobody saw that coming, certainly by that margin. But I just think the Pac-12 is so deep. There's 6 teams in the top 25. I think they're going to cannibalize each other. I still think that can happen. There's still 5 games remaining between those 6 ranked teams. And I'm not sure if the Pac-12 champ can emerge all the way to December with only 1 loss. I know Washington's undefeated, but certainly they have looked very human the last couple of weeks and had another scare last week against Stanford. So because of the uncertainty, not really the uncertainty of the Pac-12, because of the competitive balance in the Pac-12, I think they're going to knock each other off, which is unfortunate in their last year together is 12, and that would put Texas in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the poor Pac-12. Like, this is, if only, timing is everything. If only they had the TV deal up this year, because I kind of said a similar thing at the beginning of the season, that the Pac-12 would cannibalize each other. But I have a lot of faith in Oregon. The way they looked against Utah proved a little something to me. Speaking about proving something, how close are we in terms of filling all of these bowls with bowl-eligible teams? Obviously, you've predicted that some teams will not qualify, won't have enough 6-game winners. So how are we looking on that front with just 4 weeks left in the season?
Well, before last weekend, we had 30 teams that had become bowl eligible. 10 more made it, got their 6th win. So now we're up to 40. We've got 82 spots. We've only got 4 weeks left in the regular season. Man, Tim, I don't know about you, but that's unreal. It's like I just remember Florida State beating LSU in the opener. It seemed like it was yesterday. But yeah, we only got 4 weeks left. So we've got 42 spots to fill. I'm still projecting we're not going to have enough 6-win teams that are bowl eligible. So what does that mean? Great news for James Madison and Jacksonville State, the 2 schools making the transition from FCS to FBS. They would be first in line to fill any openings. And then after that, we would go to the 5 and 7 teams. And obviously we're going to have multiple 5 and 7 teams. How are those teams chosen? It's based on their academic progress rate ranking. The NCAA has that list. You can Google it online, or I'll just tell you right now. Northwestern's at the top of that list. So yes, Northwestern, remember them? They fired their head coach. They were given up for dead. They're now 4-4 after beating Maryland. They get to 5 and 7. If any 5 and 7 teams are needed, they are number 1 on the list. This week, I have Northwestern in my bowl projections because I think they get the 5 wins. I think we need some 5-win teams. So right now, Tim, we have 40 of 82 that are qualified. I think ultimately we end up with around somewhere between 66 to 68 or 69. 70. We end up with 76 to 79. So I think we could have as many as 6 5-win teams, or as few as 1 or 2. obviously that does not include the two FBS newcomers, Jack State and JMU.
So the newcomers go before we do this whole academic tiebreaker amongst.
Because they will have they've got 6 wins. They technically they've qualified, but because they are in their second year moving up from the FCS, they are on a probationary period. Our great Animal House analogy last week, their initiation phase, if you will. But if there are not enough teams to fill, they would go in the pecking order before the teams with 5 wins. So to make this clear, it's not the bowl. The bowl does not have the option. The bowl cannot say, we do not want to take Jacksonville State or James Madison. We want to dip down and we want to take a 5-7 team. They cannot do that. The Jacksonville State and James Madison have to be guaranteed a bowl slot before any bowls can fill up with 5-7 teams. So they will, if there are not enough six-win bowl eligible teams, Jacksonville State and James Madison are guaranteed a spot before any 5-win teams get in.
Fair enough. Before we start with the academic tiebreaker, if only that was a tiebreaker for the college football playoff, I think we'd see a lot of Ivies sneak their way in. Yeah. Brett, the USC Trojans, you've been giving them an awful tough time the last few weeks. You called them a paper tiger a few weeks back, but now you have them in a very intriguing bowl matchup, the way things look right now. And I don't think it's getting friendlier to USC. I don't think they would want this matchup too much.
Yeah, I mean, this would be the highest rated bowl game if it occurred, and that would be USC and Oklahoma in the Alamo Bowl. Look, USC scored 50, and they barely won against Cal. Probably shouldn't have won, but they won. I see some more losses down the road for them. That knocks them out of contention for any New Year's Six bowl games. They won't be ranked high enough. You mentioned the college football playoff rankings. Those come out Tuesday night. I think USC will be back around the 15 to 20 range. So another loss and they'll fall out of the top 25. So as much as we would love to see a USC Oklahoma Alamo Bowl, I may have some bad news. The conferences and the teams for any bowl games that are not the college football playoff, obviously, or the New Year's Six games, the conferences and teams can let the bowls know, hey, by the way, we are not going to play Team X in a bowl game. I think that would be the scenario with USC. I don't think there's any way USC would sign off on playing Oklahoma. So as much as we would love to see, now believe me, OU would sign up, in a heartit for that game.
It'd sign up now.
They would say, okay, fine, we're not in a New Year's Six. We will play USC. If it's a New Year's Six game, they would be forced to play because it's not a New Year's Six game. The bowls work with the conferences because of their long-standing partnerships, yada, yada, yada. So as much as we would love to see that happen, it's probably a long shot. But until they tell us it's not going to happen, I'm going to still project it at least for another week.
We could only dream. Yeah, now we have schools and conferences opting out of bowl games, not just individual players. Real fun. I don't think we would get any Caleb Williams in that game anyways. But Tuesday night, the first college football rankings come out. It's been well documented, the history between who's in the original poll or the original vote, and then wait a couple weeks till you see the finish line. It looks nothing like it originally did. I'd ask you, what's the most important thing for all of us in the public to look for, and what's the most important things they're looking for before we all inevitably lose our minds here?
Yeah, this is the first of 5 rankings, and you're right, Tim. Everyone's gonna overreact, including myself. But remember, this ranking ultimately 2 things. This ranking doesn't mean anything because it's just one of 5 rankings till we get to the first Sunday in December.
It's just page 1. It's just chapter 1.
It's page 1, right. And just because you're at a certain ranking doesn't mean that if you keep winning, you're going to stay there and move up. It depends on your schedule strength and other factors.
Yeah.
However, based on history, we love history here, in the previous 9 years of the college football playoff, when we have been at this stage of the season, because we've changed on how many weeks we've done these rankings. But so basically, with 4 weeks left in the regular season, where we are now with these rankings coming out, 30 of the 36 teams that made the playoff were ranked in the top 6 in this Tuesday's poll. So it's not a guarantee, but history says if you're in the top 6 in Tuesday's poll, you've got a very, very good shot of remaining in there to make it to the playoff. Now, obviously, you've got to win. You know, those teams, you know, majority, if not all those 30 teams, won out or won their conference championship. But it just shows that while I just said it doesn't matter, it technically it does, because you're in position, then you have to win out. However, if we're not in the top 6, do we still got a chance? Is there still a chance? There's still a chance. We have had 6 teams that have not been ranked in the top 6 at this part of the season that have made it. In 2015, Oklahoma was ranked number 15 at this stage of the season. They climbed enough bodies and they got into the top 4. Ohio State, the first year of the playoff, they were back at number 14. They rallied and got in the top 4. The other teams that have done it ranked we have 3 teams that ranked 7th, including last year. Michigan was number 7 at this point of the season. 2 years ago, 2021, was at number 7. They got into the playoff, and then Oklahoma again. They came back all the way back from number 9. So if you're in the top 6, you've got a very, very good chance. But if you're not in the top 6, there is a pathway, but you need a lot of help, and obviously you've got to win out and then win your conference championship.
Yeah, I still have ingrained in my head that I think it was the first ranking with Ole Miss, Mississippi State that year. It was, and we all said, no way, the championship is going to run through the Egg Bowl, and it didn't end up being the case.
I think they both lost the next week. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it is fun to play around with, and we overreact. That's what we do. I mean, like you said, it's already week 10, or so. What do you expect us to do? It's a week by week type of sport. So I'm looking forward to it, Brett. I'm looking forward to see what the committee says. I look forward to overreacting and getting all blue in the face. So if you want to read Brett's entire bowl projections, make sure you follow him on Twitter, follow his Action Network, and it's in the app. It's online. Check this out on YouTube as well. So we'll be back here, same time, same place next week, Brett. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tim.